we'll discuss one or two books. Okay. So there's a beautiful book written by Tarkam. It's a booklet. It's not a book. Booklet by Tarkam. The title of the book is "The Fiery Carriage and Drugs." And do drugs expand the consciousness? Techniques of on meditation. So it's the most important booklet written by Tarkam, because people who have read entire Upanishads, uh, in whatever Upanishad we read, we need to know what that fiery carriage concept. It is always there in all kinds of Upanishads, and especially in Bhagavad Gita, that symbol of carriage is always there. So he writes about the fiery carriage. Especially most of the people, they have so much of a, we need to have some clarity regarding these words, because meditation, or people who are interested in spiritual science, uh, the first uh, clarity we need to have is, other than physical body, in most of the esoteric books, they use a term called subtle bodies or subtle worlds. All subtle bodies, subtle worlds, they correspond to our emotional bodies, astral bodies, or desire bodies. So in whatever book you read, if they speak about subtle bodies, subtle things means something related to your astral phenomenon, or emotional body, or emotional plane, or about your desire body, or your pain body. That is what they mean if they use the word called subtle bodies. And in any literature, if they use the word called fiery, or Fiery, fiery bodies, fiery planes means bodies which are much deeper or beyond your lower mental body, means higher mental bodies. uh, they are speaking, if they use the word called fiery, means they are speaking about your higher mind, your choice making abilities, your intuitional bodies, your intuitional body, your healing body, or your comprehensive body, is what they mean to, if they are using the word called fiery. Beyond intuitional body, you have a freedom body, means a body with which you can freely travel. That atmic level bodies also corresponds to these fiery bodies. And once beyond that, your monadic or divine bodies, they are also corresponding to the fiery bodies. So the fiery carriage means it corresponds to your non-local domain or non-local mind. If your local mind is corresponding to your brain, the invisible aspect of every human being is what this fiery word signifies. If at all you understand this word fiery, then most of the esoteric literature, if at all you read most of the theosophical books or technical books related with this meditation, you can understand that. So the fiery carriage, in this modern age, people travel faster and faster with better and better vehicles. They use automobiles, airplanes, and spaceships to go from one place to another. Man is an eternal traveler. he has traveled since the day he started to walk. Year by year, age by age, man has improved his means of transportation. He is speeding toward a central magnet, toward an unknown goal. The same is true of inner traveling. Man begins his long inner space journey home toward the central magnet of his being when he starts to think and says, "Let me go to my father's home." On his journey, he has a carriage, horses, a driver, and he himself guides the carriage to his own destination. In the end, he returns home. On his journey home, man resembles a carriage pulled by wild horses. He has a driver, a spark sleeping inside him, the carriage, and a guardian light overshadowing him. For centuries in the East, the human body has been compared to a carriage. The horses represent the emotions and feelings which draw man at different speeds along different roads. The driver represents the mind of man, which is supposed to control the carriage and the horses. In most cases, the driver appears to be intoxicated. The direction in which carriage will travel should be decided by the guardian light. Guardian light means your solar angel or your higher aspect, which should be decided by your guardian angel itself until the spark shines forth. In the heart of the man, there is a vision for home. That home is a magnet for him, a spark and an extended path to the great space. This is what entire Bhagavad Gita, if you can really see uh, the Arjuna being in complete distraction, how Krishna, being the solar angel, gives him the spiritual direction. The horses represents our emotions. The carriage represents our physical body. This is how the real significance and meaning of that chariot or the carriage everyone should understand. If at all these symbolic things we know the meaning and significance of that, we really know the spiritual direction or why meditation is the need of the hour. If we study the five aspects of human being and their relation to one another, we shall have a good idea of constitution of man as well as his psychology. The physical body, the carriage which is called the carnal body or the tent. The emotional nature of man called the emotional or desire body. The mental nature which is called mental or heavenly body. The guardian light is located in the body of glory or the causal body, which is sometimes known as the body made without hands. Within the guardian light is everlasting jewel, the spark. This is what one needs to understand, like, what the fairy carriage means. Then he speaks about as man starts his journey back home, his life is conditioned by the following influences: who he was, who he is, where he is, who is going to be, the way in which he can become himself. If at all people can really contemplate on these five questions, then you will have an expanding influence of meditation on your life. So first he gives like how the physical body, the carriage needs to be nurtured to have a beautiful carriage or body, we must think about 7 things. First thing is nutrition, what you eat. Second thing is rest or relaxation. Third thing is how you breathe. Fourth thing is what you drink. You drink purified water or contaminated water. Fifth thing is physical exercise. Sixth thing is sex. Seventh thing is sleep. Okay. These 7 things decides your physical body, what it is really made up of. Then comes, now we discuss the next body, which we call emotional body, means horses. How can we build it and keep it healthy, strong and beautiful? This is what meditation is all about. Most of the people, they jump directly into, like, beyond mental level meditations. But like, meditation should make your physical body more active with those 7 things. And people needs to spend some time, like, what their emotional body or astral body is made up of. In order to build your healthy emotional bodies, we must begin our lives in a home where there is love, respect, and harmony. There must be beauty of color, beauty of sound, music, and beauty of right relationships. Such an environment contains the best substance and atmosphere in which our horses can grow. If the entire fairy carriage, the physical thing represents your chariot or carriage, then if we want to have a really healthy horses to lead your life, then what an individual should do is, like, he should have a nice environment to stay. That is what the entire emotional body and astral body foundation is. The emotional body, our horses, is very fragile and sensitive. Fear, anger, or a sudden attack can crack or even paralyze it. It is like a harp on which every impression produces a reaction, a response, a note, a music. Indeed, our horses are most sensitive. The emotional body receives its best nutrition in high aspiration of beauty, of purity and peace, of holiness and freedom. It is difficult to control this body by forceful repression. To control the emotional body, we must use our creative imagination, the light of our mind and logic. Thus, we can express constructive instead of negative emotions. And healthy emotional body radiates serenity, magnetism, and peace. This is what a real meditation or people who wants to take care of their fiery carriage should understand. First step was their physical body. Second step is emotional body, the horses. Now next comes our driver, means our mental body, who is supposed to control the carriage, the horses, and serve the inner lord. Inner lord means your solar angel. Before he becomes a good driver, he must learn all about the carriage and its parts, and all about the horses and their nature, all about the roads upon which he is going to drive, and all about the destination toward which he is driving. Thus, the mental being has many things to do before he becomes a good driver. After he knows these things, he must learn how to drive. It is relatively easy to know about the carriage, the horses, the road, and the destination. But if the driver does not know how to drive, he cannot expect progress. That is what people should understand, that meditation, is it being used as a mental tool which controls our emotional bodies, astral bodies, and physical bodies, or mental tool which, without being in an organized state, going crazy and jumping into the invisible world. That is the thing people needs to really sit down and contemplate on. In order to drive, one needs to integrate all aspects of carriage and guide them as a unit towards a goal. The driver is a bridge between the carriage, the horses, and the solar angel. It is not enough to learn about the carriage and horses. A person needs to know how to communicate with the Lord and how to understand his messages. One learns about the carriage through scientific books and through self study. One learns about the horses through various psychological books, but he will learn more about emotional body, the horses, through self observation. One learns about himself through concentration, meditation, pondering, contemplation, self observation, non identification, and above all, by bringing oneself under the control of the inner conscience. That is where the real scientific meditation starts. Our mind, the driver, can be found in the following developmental stages. The first stage, in which the driver is a baby, ignorant and uncultivated. Just as a lamb follows its flock, he does whatever others do. He is not independent. He is enslaved by opinions, beliefs, thought habits, and so on. It is difficult for such a mind to expand. Until a mind has gained its freedom, it cannot come in contact with the inner Lord or be a creative agent. That is what is the first stage of a driver or mind. The second stage, in which the mind is enslaved by the emotions. Wherever the horses desire to go, the driver goes. The driver tries to satisfy all the demands of the horses. All mental energy is used for the fulfillment of emotional desire. If the horses are not healthy, but instead are filled with negative emotions, we can well imagine the tremendous burden placed upon the driver, the mind. This is the most important phase. People should really sit and think. These are the developmental stages of the mind or driver. Third, the third stage, in which the mind identifies with an idea or a doctrine. The person is usually a fanatic. He doesn't want to see other point of view, but he thinks that whatever he heard, whatever he read is right, and he wants to only stick with his point of view. That is what it means to be fanatical. The person is usually a fanatic, caught by a one-pointed idea, rejecting any other ideas except the one to which he gets accustomed. And most of the people who doesn't take the holistic approach of meditation and try to understand it, and most of the people are dropouts in practicing regular meditation, belong to the stage 3. That is where the real Swajaya yoga or book reading, or the, the real inclusiveness approach to meditation pops in. So first stage is called the driver is a baby or ignorant. Second stage is when mind is enslaved by emotions. Even still, then people need to start carrying their practice of regular meditation. Only then they can really understand the developmental stages. The fourth stage, in which the mind begins to recognize itself and start to investigate its own world. Gradually, a cleavage is produced within the mind. One part begins to perceive that the mind itself is a body or instrument. At this point, inner Lord starts to awaken and emerge from his sleep and starts to become active through the lower vehicles. That is where the real meditation starts. It starts when you understand that a solar angel is there within you. He is the person who gives you the spiritual direction. That contact in meditation is rather means your mind gets awakened with the help of your solar angel is the real starting point of meditation. The fifth stage, in which the mind is complete harmony with the inner Lord, now fully awakened. The mind is in harmony with its plan and purpose. You see how beautiful these five stages where the mind has to really develop itself. And people need regular meditation to experience these five development stages of the driver or mind. Then and only then people will understand the real meaning and significance and plan and purpose of meditation tool. So he wrote everything in detail about meditation, self-actualization, all these things. And he wrote mainly about what I mean to say is this technical aspect of why relationships are getting failed. He wrote in this concept. So this is the most interesting concept. The all why relationship problems are there. For example, we may be functioning on the following levels. If we take if people are functioning on only physical body levels, let them represent by number 7. People who are only the physical body levels, let us give them a number called 7. And there are second type of people who live as bodies and emotions. They are not only bodies, but they are prone to negative emotions, but they know that emotions are also there. Let us give them number 6. And there are people who doesn't believe to be in physical body, but only think that their emotions are important. Let us give them a number called 5. And 4, as bodies, emotions, and little developed minds. There are also different kind of people who are there in this state. Let them be represented by a number called 4. And some people, they live as only minds, not emotions and not bodies. Let us give them the number 3. And some as emotions and minds with a little light from the inner Lord, means they believe in some soul stuff. Let us give them number 2. As a completely being motivated by soul stuff, meditation and purpose and behind creation, let us give number 1. Let us represent with number 1. So if number 7, people who think that they are only bodies, if they get married with number 1, then that relationship will have huge problems. And people with 6, if they get married to 5, they also will have problems. So what it means to, he means to say is, if people who are at 2 equal levels, if they marry, only then the relationships will be right. So in that way, like meditation has to be given to all family people, all, and it's a need of the hour of the relationships, is because meditation makes people understand their inner constitution. Otherwise, we are going to see more crisis in the area of personal relationships. That is what he technically has written in this book called Fury, Courage, and Drugs. This is the most important concept. You see, these are two different beings. I think you people can see. Like list A, if that list A is a male and if the list B is female, if these two persons are getting married, If they are only carriages, well and good, their relationship will go for some distance. If 1% is carriage and 1% is carriage plus horses, then they are going to have a conflict within them. And if one person is carriage, one person is horse and a bit of driver in him, and he gets married to a person who has only horses, then they are going to have a lot of conflicts. Only if the person who has a carriage, who has his horses under his control and a developed driver, and if a person who has a contact with his soul, if such kind of aligned human being gets married with a person he or she has the understanding of her carriage, her horses, her driver, and if she has contact with her inner guide called solar angel and she knows her soul stuff, then that relationship is going to blossom in the physical plane. Otherwise they are going to face lot of issues regarding in their marriage issues. This is the most important concept. I advise to read all bachelors to go through this concept before getting married. This is most important thing, fundamental important thing. Even all small issues, all nutrition issues, if you being a vegetarian, okay, you get married to a non-vegetarian, don't ask a specialist to decide for whom you need to get married. Read this chapter thoroughly, then you will know whom to get married, whom to work with. This is the most fundamental concept written by Tarkam Saradarian, and this concept is the essence of all Upanishads, and it is a concept directly taken from Bhagavad Gita. And he has given more case studies, like what happens, if a person with see, this is the case studies. If a human being with same food habits, inner states or conditions, how their conflicts arise or how those conflicts needs to get harmonized is what he in detail described in this chapter. And basically starting in the starting page of this book, even Tarkam wrote it as dedicated to the youth of the future. This is what he wrote in the first page of this book. He dedicated this book to the youth of the future. And most of the youth, they need to understand the importance, real importance of meditation, real importance of right relationships, and they need to understand basically their fiery being level. That is where the real meditation happens. So he wrote in detail about this concept in this book. And the second chapter is, do drugs expand the consciousness? Because you go into the world, most of the people now have a glamour and illusion that taking something and meditating will give them astral travel or whatever may be the motive behind that. But scientifically, with this chapter, taking an external drug for all our astral travels, astral journeys, or some kind of adventures are going to be more hazardous to your inner journey. That is why don't do anything artificial in meditation. And now you can see in the most of Western culture, people say like, eat this thing, you'll have astral travel, or take this drug, you'll have astral travel, or you'll contact that. All this is like mirage. It is like you traveling in a desert, you see in a desert, everything looks like in a deep, far away distance, you feel like there's water there. That is what mirage is all about. Such kind of things are strictly needs to be prohibited in your meditation practice. And most of the shamanic books, they give such a clear uh, influence on every meditator that taking something externally will give them astral travel is such a nonsense. So I want you people to go through this concept, and so that you not get trapped in the most non-essentials, like drugs gives us astral travel, or somebody can make you do astral travel. All these things are more of a nonsense. So the most important concept discussed in this book, do drugs expand the consciousness, will save your time. So, and most of the people, they'll be asking, sir, I have been doing meditation, so how come I know, like my am I in the progressive path, or am I in the stagnant part? So in this book, he writes very clearly what are the signs that one's consciousness is truly expanding with meditation or with service. He has given 12 signs. You need to observe these signs in your life, in your carriage, in your horses, and in your driver level. Only then you can really understand what the importance of meditation in your life. We have already mentioned some signs, but we can add more. One thing, a true urge to know more and to be more. If you're doing regular meditation and your consciousness is expanding, this will be the sign. Like a true urge to know more and to be more is one of the sign. A steady watchfulness and observation of one's own life and relationships. An increasing urge to serve and uplift other people. An increasing control over one's actions, feelings, thoughts, and words. Clear thinking and seeing things as they really are. An increasing enthusiasm for the welfare of humanity. Better relationships with others. Great ability to understand the problems of others and meet their needs. An increasing sense of harmlessness. An increasing power of creativity. An increasing insight into the plan for humanity and the planet within the solar system. An increasing sensitivity to impressions coming from great planetary, solar, and cosmic lives. If at all you can see these 12 things, then it means that your consciousness is expanding and you're having a spiritual direction which is provided with scientific meditation. So the creative use of energy means, he says, one must think in every way about economy of energy. To expand our consciousness and to be creative in our inner world as well as outer relationship, one must learn about the energies controlling our life expression. If we are able to transmute and sublimate our energies, we will be able to enter into deeper states of consciousness and thus harmonize our entire nature with the inner nucleus of all beauty, goodness, and truth. The liberation of the human being is conditioned by the wise use of these energies. It is interesting to note that all energy, the energy which we use for all actions and functions, is one. Its main source is one, but we have our nature reservoirs where some energy is stored to use in time of need. The main reservoirs are the physical body and its electrical counterpart, which is known as etheric body. 2, emotional nature. 3, mental nature. And the fourth, our psychic nature. These four reservoirs have their specific outlets for energy distribution. We have 7 outlets which the one energy is differentiated and released for. This is the diagram. This is the diagram you can see. Okay. Now, these 7 outlets, energy is used for physical actions, for creative purpose, 3 for compassion and love, 4th for speech, 5th for mental research or work, 6th for creative purposes, 7th for spiritual achievements. To illustrate the energy and its outlets, we present the diagram on the next page. This is the diagram. Please go through this diagram. Okay. Each outlet functioning at its own particular level draws its energy from the main reservoir. Sometimes the condition of the outlet is as follows. These are the outlets. These are the outlets. Okay. Now just find out the condition of the outlets. Now we have 6 conditions. All the outlets, their condition is they all leak. You don't have control over them. All of the outlets, their condition is all of them are in a leakage state. Second possibility is several things act. Now the third condition is out of the 7 things, one outlet overacts. The fourth possibility is out of the 7, more outlets overacts. The fifth condition is out of the 7 things, few are asleep. And the 6th, most of them are asleep and are not functioning. If at all we can really go through the 6 possibilities about the 7 centers each individual has and their connection with the main reservoirs of energy, then people know what they need to do in meditation and how to make them more harmonious and more stable and sane and balanced, so that the outlets are under your control. That is the way we can use our creative energies in a more economical way, understanding basically the law of economy. Understanding law of economy makes you decrease wastefulness, entire wastefulness of energies in your entire life, in all departments of your life. That is why meditation should make you understand the most important law in our personality life or in our personality relationship, that we need to understand law of economy so that we can be more creative and let every individual has a creative outlet, so that he uses his reservoirs of energy in a more creative way. So this is the concept, and he wrote about the technique of meditation. He wrote completely about meditation from Patanjali Yoga Sutras point of view. So we may say that meditation is a process of penetrating into the deeper meanings of events, objects, forms, energies, activities, and so on. A real meditation purifies all our emotional states, clears our mind, and gradually puts it in contact with the light within. Meditation is the science of contact with the soul. Meditation resembles a problem-solving process. A person of meditation saves his money, energy, and time, dedicating them to the upliftment of humanity. Patanjali, an Indian sage who lived before Christ, wrote a small book in which he set forth the most condensed philosophy of meditation. In the book, he says, the consciousness of an object is attained by concentration on its fourfold nature. The form, okay, whatever thought form we got stuck or whatever the problem we face, the form needs to be understood through examination. Every form, the form nature needs to be understood through examination. The quality through discrimination. If you have tamogunam, you should have discrimination. If you have rajogunam, you should have discrimination. If you have sattvic gunam, it means you have right discrimination. The purpose through inspiration. All deeper things inspire you, not the external things. This is all temporary things never give you inspiration. Only permanent things give you inspiration. And the cause or soul through identification. We need to identify with the fiery things, our invisible aspect, so that we know the cause, we understand quality, we understand purpose, we understand form. If these four things one human being understands through meditation, then his meditation will make his life more economical. These are the four important words: form through examination, quality through discrimination, purpose through inspiration, and cause through soul identification. If people can understand these four words, then the meditation becomes so scientific meditation. This is what Patanjali has written in his Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Let us analyze above four viewpoints. The form. This is the outer appearance of an object, a pencil, a house, a bird, a man. But there are also forms which are beyond our five senses. For example, our thoughts have forms. They are sometimes beautiful, sometimes very ugly. Also, our emotions have specific forms. Anything that vibrates, radiates, or projects has a form. Nothing exists in the universe without a form. Some forms last only a few minutes, some forms last for centuries. Those forms which are in accord with the laws of the cosmos last a long time. To these forms belong high, lofty ideas or positive emotions and feelings which are saturated with love and sympathy. To know our object, we must consider the form of that object. This is the first point of view from which we should examine an object. It is the first step of the scientific approach. The quality. The quality of an object is its own character, which differentiates it from another object. For example, the quality of an apple is different from the quality of a quince. The quality of gamma radiation is different from the beta radiation. Or a man's character is different from the character of his neighbor. The quality is found by discrimination. Discrimination means to find the differences in quality between two objects, not the differences in form. In the thinking process, examination corresponds to the stage of concentrative thinking, and the discrimination corresponds to the second stage of thinking, which we call meditation. The second angle from which we view an object is the discrimination of an object's quality, which differentiate it from the other objects. That is what quality means. The purpose. The purpose of an object is its high calling, its destiny. The plan which is supposed to fulfill. Every object, whether it is an atom, a man, a tree, a plant, has a purpose. The purpose of every form can be compared to a mosaic piece in a great picture which the great architect is building. We may also say that purpose of every form is like a sound in the orchestra, which is a part of symphony of cosmos. We sometimes say that certain person has a talent or is a genius. The talented person is one in whom the inner purpose is partially expressing itself. The genius is one who is fulfilling that purpose completely. The purpose is the inner direction of the object. It is the fulfillment of the cause behind the object. If we investigate a form as to its purpose, we reach the plan of the architect and the dynamic principle we call the cause of the form or the object. This is what the real purpose aspect is. Next comes the cause. Investigation leads to the cause of a form, an emotion, an attitude, a mental state of man and the universe. It leads to causeless cause or to a mystic space. To know an object, man must have a synthetic mind, a mind which simultaneously carries on its study of objects scientifically, psychologically, philosophically, and spiritually. A person who meditates in the preceding manner eventually reaches the higher states of consciousness and steps on the path of initiation leads him toward the mystery of great life. This is what he wrote about technical aspect of meditation. So such a fantastic book. Hope this book is dedicated to the youth of the future. Okay.